Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. This week has been extremely busy with work outside of YouTube, but during my downtime, I wanted to quickly share with you my collecting goals for the future, especially as we lead up to my annual State of the Collection at the end of the year. I also share my observations in how my preferences for different watches have changed as I struggle to consolidate and focus my collection. How have my tastes evolved, and what has caused it to do so? Now don't forget to please click like on this video, and let's get into it. Okay, so I'm about to step outside, go for a jog, but before I go, I wanted to show you this. This is my Tudor, but this is no ordinary Tudor because I've attached, yes, a Casio F91W to the back so I can keep track of a second time zone. I can also do multiple timing because I can use the bezel on the Tudor and then the stopwatch on the Casio. It's shockingly comfortable as well because it's lightweight, so very handy. I totally recommend this. The biggest change for my watch collecting has actually been me buying less watches compared to 2019 and 2020. With less travel and working mainly from home, it's also made me appreciate the ease, comfort, and practicality of more affordable watches, primarily watches like my newly crowned favorite Casio, the lovably retro DW290, also known as the Mission Impossible watch, and incidentally a collection goal from 2020, my custom modded super compact 38mm mini G-Shock metal. Another big change has been in 2020 and 2021, my diminishing desire for more traditional dress watches. The reason for this is because I tend to wear dress watches when attending classical concerts, operas, formal family events, Christmas Day, business dinners where something smart is more required, all of which has been cancelled or just not possible due to the pandemic. Sorry. I'm having my post-workout protein shake. So what I wanted to say is that the biggest change this year has also really been my appreciation or the growth of appreciation for sports watches. At the entry level, I'm talking quartz, digital, and then at the luxury end, Tudor and Rolex. And the main reason is just the versatility. I mean, I've gone from more wearing casual, smart clothes to mainly being at home, working, as you can see, editing here, or in the light box for hours at a time. I wear predominantly, tracksuits because it's just comfortable. And what works with tracksuits? Well, sporty watches. Whether it's digital or my Tudors and my Rolexes. The Dan Henry 1962 is an excellent example of a watch that encapsulates this shift in tastes to more casual watches over the past year. With its Universal Genève Evil Nina / Omega Speedmaster inspired aesthetic, it's inherently a racing watch and therefore more sporty. Coupled with its low price during a time when spending is at a minimum and the monochromatic strap monster compatibility, it ended up being one of my most worn watches of the past year. Dan Henry did not help the situation when he subsequently released a two-tone version I've previously covered, but alas I managed to resist its charm, despite being an absolute sucker for the alluring gold, steel and black combination. And the last thing that has changed over the past year is undoubtedly my preference for day and date complications. With days seemingly bleeding into the next due to quarantining, it's easy not to get a point of reference to what day of the week it actually is. Or perhaps this is just my memory as I get older, who knows. As I discussed in the previous video, I have purchased back the two-tone Tudor Prince Day date as a more robust everyday alternative to my solid gold Rolex day date. With that 100-meter water resistance, its date just looks, but now with the additional day display, it's difficult to take this one off. And naturally, that 36mm size is just so close to my heart. So as you can see, my little Mission Impossible watch is beeping. And that's telling me that it's time to stop working here editing and get to the light box, which is what I'll probably do for the next couple of hours. But this just highlights a perfect point that the utility, the functionality of digital watches like this, I use them every single day, if not just for working out, but just reminders. The first of my collecting goals, or should I say a brand that is on my priority list, is Hanhart. At the beginning of the year, I reviewed the highly underrated but historically important Pioneer Techie automatic chronograph. Its classic 1940s style, super impressive quality, supreme construction and rich German watchmaking heritage of this independent brand was all simply outstanding. I have always been a fan of the brand, as I've mentioned in some of my very earliest videos, as they famously made the military pilot's chronograph, the 417ES, which was made iconic by the style and acting legend Steve McQueen. Let's not forget, unlike other watch brands he wore in the movies, this was not a paid ambassadorship. This renowned watch connoisseur chose Hanhart himself. Sadly, however, the recent reissue was 42mm in diameter and just too big, despite being drop-dead gorgeous. This always leaves the original, of course, but the chance of finding it is extremely rare, with only 500 ever being manufactured. Making it somewhat of a true grail, I still consider the 417ES to be one of the greatest military chronographs ever made. The clean design, the history of the brand, combined with its military and celebrity iconic status, makes it utterly compelling. After selling my Zinn 104, if you recall me saying, I've always wanted something German in the collection. After all, their contributions to horology, with inventing the first pocket watch in Nuremberg, was vitally important, and my profound love of German art, history, design, culture, and being a little bit German in heritage myself. Okay, so this is a very rare Audemars Piguet dress watch from the late 50s, and it's very unusual. And what makes it rare is, well, first of all, look at that case back. It's scalloped. It's not one that just flips open, it's actually screwed in, which is very, very rare, especially of dress watches of this period. It's based on a JLC caliber, super thin, a very important caliber. I've discussed this watch numerous times. But I mean, it's the quintessential dress watch. Super thin, elegant, it has a discreet elegance, as my friend John likes to say. Nothing like the gaudy, flashy, oversized monstrosities that AP do now. I mean, this really is I think it is my favorite of the holy so-called trinity. I still am lusting after the perpetual calendar, made famous by Bill Murray, that he wore in Scrooged. And just look at how slender that is. Slide under any cuff. I mean, the perfect dress watch. So with that said, I mean, it was a gift from a friend as well, so it has incredible sentimental value. What more could you ever ask for in a dress watch? My long-term grail has always been the Insight Micro Rotor by Romain Gaultier. After visiting the factory and seeing the process step by step from raw materials to the finished capo lavoro, its confluence of modernist shapes, classical elements, and discreet super refinement won me over. The problem is, this beautiful, skeletonized piece costs a lot of money, and considering the amount of craftsmanship involved, justifiably so. It's not that the watch is not worth it, but personally, I just find spending so much money on a watch a little, well, distasteful. Even if I was super wealthy, I would still think and feel the same way. Perhaps that is just me. There is a large part of me that wishes to stick with family tradition, buy a classy little Cartier tank or a very understated JLC and call it a day. You could say that the super high-end has lost its luster on me a little bit. While I respect brands like AP, VC and Patek massively, I simply hardly would wear them to justify these higher costs. The Royal Oak I owned for over a year is a perfect example of this. As for super luxury brands like Richard Mille and all that stuff, not my cup of tea. I find them kind of obnoxious, way too flashy, garish even. But then there's more obscure stuff like F. Pigeon, Moser, what else? Naoya, Haida that we discussed from Japan previously, which I really do like. Parmigiani, these kind of super luxury brands. But to be honest, would I actually wear them enough to justify paying, all that money? I don't actually think so. I think it's got to be what you're comfortable with. I'm anywhere between, you know, a $10 Casio and I would say the mid-level of Rolex. I think that's my price category, you know.
There are, of course, plenty of watches in the seller's remorse category, or worse, pieces I have borrowed to review and just cannot get out of my head. But there are two beyond all others. Firstly, the Seiko Captain Willard, or more specifically, the reissue of this very famous diver. It was something of a revelation for me, and I have to admit, and I think I said this during the review, that I never paid much attention to it due to its exaggerated curvaceous case. Despite my affinity for cinema and it being from the greatest watch brand of all time. During the process of reviewing it and spending a week with it, I was shocked to see how the mainly true to 1970s size wore so well, even on my modest wrist. But more bizarrely was the fact that I rarely dig the olive green version, a colour of which I normally never consider. It just goes to show you can't criticise a watch until you've spent a week with one. Now, I need a Seiko like I need a hole in the head, but at the same time, why deny myself the fun? And despite the rising prices, it has made me hungry to investigate and learn and review more Seiko releases. Secondly, I cannot shake the desire to buy back, and you're going to roll your eyes at this, yes, for the third time, the azzurro blue Squale 1521. The watch that started my long love affair with the brand, and still is one of the, if not the best, Swiss automatic divers under $1,000. The instant nostalgia and mesmerizing blue is just hard not to fall in love with. Despite me having various limited editions, I fear that I will never escape the infatuation, especially when I think how happy I was all those years ago, during the infancy of the channel. It instantly takes me back to trips to Miami, wearing it while jogging at dawn on the beach, and all the adventures that go along with it. Before my long descent into a struggle and battle with health, numerous operations, 4 lung collapses, and all the pain, struggle and misery that went along with it. Thankfully, however, those days are behind me.
Okay, so I'm working on some freelance editing work for my main job, but at the same time, I'm stalking watches on eBay. I don't know if you guys ever do this, but it's amazing how well the prices. I mean, some of these used 1521s, you might as well buy new. I love how the detractors always criticize mid-range watches for not keeping their value. But yet, look at these prices. Yeah, you might as well just buy a new one for the same money. Crazy. So the question with rebuys is classic. It's more to do with psychology, I think. Is it a deep yearning to reclaim happier times in one's life? I don't know. What do you guys think? Or is it just as simple as that you love the watch, you miss it, you're gonna get it back, and you love it again? Are we over analyzing these kind of things? Do share your thoughts in the comments. The eternal struggle of a watch collector, but I think it goes to, I think it speaks about a lot of kind of collecting pastimes as well.
Recently I shared a video of my thoughts on selling my Tudor Submariner in exchange for a two-tone Rolex equivalent. My penchant for two-tone has been largely satiated by my Tudor day date, but this lusting for more sports Rolexes has not diminished in the least. There is also the Yachtmaster, another Rolex I previously reviewed, which I would love to own at one point. I find I have a similar relationship with Rolex that I do with Seiko, both endlessly collectible and something I will never be able to shake off. The inherent value retention, sporty yet elegant versatility, and that do-it-all robustness always has me coming back. But the Tudor, being in such good nick, exploding in value, and it getting harder to find a good example like the particular model I have, keeps me from rushing into it, so it remains my current subby. I just cannot have a collection without some form of Submariner. I also love the fact it is from a more discreet brand, something mostly only watch enthusiasts know about. Naturally, there's the connection to British history via the name and a much greater substantial legacy of military involvement compared to the Rolex subs, perfectly illustrated by the watch history book. This and its vintage allure all appeals to me greatly. So it seems I haven't really changed. Watches may come and go from my collection, And while climbing the so-called luxury tiers, like so many do, doesn't interest me, my motivation remains the same. I collect for fun, to experience new things, and learn along the way.
Okay, so I bid you farewell from the war room, and don't forget to add in the comments what you're considering next for your collection. Also, any particular watches that you have that seller's remorse with, you just cannot get out of your mind, do share that as well. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and found it useful, and as always guys, I will catch you in the next one. Okay, ciao.